Welcome back to the 2 Months Podcast, sponsored by Pete's Concrete. I am your host, Joshua Marshall, and I have my co-host with me. He is the ace in the sleeve. We have Clay Vanderham. Vandy, how's it going?
Vandy is dandy. Just the two of us tonight.
Yes,
I love it. I love
The
it.
original Mutts right now, right?
Got a
So
lot to talk about. I was in Red Deer this weekend for my son's lacrosse tournament. Inline fires back up tomorrow night. Or tonight, I guess, as it'll be airing. So
yeah,
things are good. How are you, my man?
yeah. 40th birthday was obviously yesterday. So,
I meant to sing
very
you happy birthday.
yeah, no, I appreciate that. Appreciate the note that you sent and all that. And I overwhelmed with the birthday wishes and obviously the beautiful plug Bob Stauffer gave us on Oilers Now. And obviously we set up Bob at Shatified. So plug to Shatified Salon and Barbershop where everyone gets their haircut. If as it was awesome, Bob was a legend there. He gets more attention than maybe anyone. And I think he took 25 pictures and and Bob's going to join us on Sunday night, by the way. So special guest Bob Stauffer will be back on the 2 Months Podcast to break down the game one and game two and the series shifting back to Edmonton. But yeah, no, good birthday.
Oh, the Oilers moved on.
They did.
Ah,
Yes,
love it.
they punched their ticket, and it's their second conference final in the last 3 years. So their second time being in a conference final, and the McDavid era has only ever seen 8 wins. They have not seen win nine ever happen. They were swept against Colorado, and I think we'll see some 8, 9. I think we'll see some wins. I think he's going to come higher. The McDavid era is going to come higher. We'll get into that in a second. But yeah, birthday was good. Really good day yesterday. Great gifts, great random gifts, all that stuff. Everything was good. So
Right,
it was
right.
interesting day, and it was amazing to be with Bob at Shatified. And I got to do this now because Shaddy is going to get mad at me if I don't. But you're watching this on YouTube, people. Please hit the subscribe button. We really appreciate it. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Hit that button.
Oh, he gives you shit for not doing that?
Because I never do it. So I never do it. So you know what? We have over 1,000 subscribers, Vandy, and I would say 800 of them have come from Shady. Because
No shit.
I sit in the this is how it is. I sit in Shady in the chair to get my hair cut. So we have a big sign, a big 2 Months Podcast sign at Shatified. So he always points to the sign, and he actually literally grabs people's phones and he puts to subscribe to us. People, he's like, he's probably getting us 800. He's probably at least got us 800 subscribers. So thanks to Shadi for that. And obviously, it's pretty cool because you get the extra kind of cool features on being over the 1,000 subscribers. So hit the subscribe button, give us a review. Our buddy Will McNeil watches always on YouTube, and he's always hitting a comment. He's always
He
comment.
does.
So he's a beauty too, so got to give him a plug because that helps out
Yeah,
with the whole analytics. If you keep posting something
right,
and every episode he does, he's always
right.
posting something on it. So yeah, just a quick plug that we always got to do that. If I forget it, Vandy, you got to kind of say it sometimes too. But since it's on the topic, we'll bring that up.
I will. I
Yes.
will.
So no, it was good. But obviously, yes, a lot going on. There's a lot going on. We we'll get right into it. Obviously, we seen game one of the Eastern Conference Final happen already. So big win there. But we'll get to that towards the end of the pod. We'll break down the East and the West. But some coaching vacancies are no longer anymore. We've seen some coaches being promoted and staying on. Let's start with LA first. Jim Hiller stays on with the LA Kings. The interim tag moves over to the head coaching tag. So, pretty sweet to see him. He was an assistant coach last year and then an assistant coach this year, moved to interim. But Jim Hiller stays on. It seems like they're going to move away from the 1-3-1. But what's your thoughts on Jim taking over as head coach with the LA Kings, Vandy?
Well, I think familiarity is what comes to mind. I mean, he's familiar with the core that they got, um, and the group that's coming in. Obviously, has rapport with the guys that within a couple of years are leaving. And that way, he's comfortable with the kids coming in. Pretty much just said exactly what I said in two different sentences, but
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think it's a comfort level. I don't think they want to shake things up too much
Yeah.
in LA. I don't think they're not on a rebuild, obviously. They made the playoffs. Um, but I mean, they don't want to upset the apple cart, if you
No.
will. They want to keep it, let's keep a constant voice maybe for a couple of years as coaches are, and then they get let go. But um, it's kind of intriguing that you wonder why maybe a guy like McClellan got
Doesn't
let
matter.
go, because you would think, but maybe they had difference in philosophy, and who knows? I mean,
Yeah.
but good for him, and let's see what he can do with this team.
I remember seeing an interview with Darren Dreger the other day. And obviously, Dregs has been on our podcast about 7 or 8 times, but he was talking kind of about what you just said there about Todd McClellan, but it's obviously tying it to Pierre Luc Dubois. And, Darren was on the Barn Burner podcast with Rhett Warner and Boomer there. And he was just pretty much saying, he's
In
like,
Calgary, yeah.
yeah, in the Calgary there, those guys in Calgary, and he's pretty much just saying like, you know what, we've had a really tough, like it was weared thin. The Dubois thing was just wearing very hard on him, and being like, he tried every possible thing. He put him first line, second line,
But
fourth line, like,
yeah,
and we went at nauseum of breaking down Pierre Luc Dubois, and it just looks like he was just fed up and tired with it, and he tied it back to being like, he knows Paul Maurice said the same thing. Like, look, Paul Maurice, like, he didn't get fired in Winnipeg. He quit in Winnipeg. Like, he just said, I'm done. I have to go. So, and Dubois was there at that time. So, and obviously there's times with Dubois with Torts in Columbus, and just, there was a lot there. And it just, I'm not saying the coaching of one player, dictated whether he got fired or not, but, maybe you are in a way. But
well,
Todd's interviewed with every team right now. He's interviewed with
right.
Seattle, still open. He has not interviewed with St. Louis, with San Jose. I think those are the only two vacancies right now. Now, most of these are pretty much filled, but because Drew Bannister stays on in St. Louis as head coach, he moves from interim to head coach, and that happened a couple of weeks ago. So, but I agree, Jim Hiller's going to be good there. It very sounds like they're changing up the 1-3-1, so which will be interesting to do. So yeah, we'll see. I think it's a good hire for them. He's a good coach. He was an assistant in Toronto for a while with Babcock under the Babcock era. So, yeah, we'll see. Good to see him kind of get his opportunity here and a fair shake. Former NHL player too. So
Well, and it comes to a point where, as a coach, you see, and every coach, whether they coach U7, not U7, maybe U11, or Adam to NHL, you've always got that one kid that just fuck.
just you want more of.
Tryouts looks good, and you're like, okay, we got him. All right, let's mold, and then gets in a game, and the kid can't think, and you're like, what the fuck is
Yeah.
going on here? And I think Dubois is that he's the NHL version of that Adam Pee Wee Bantam midget kid that, my God, the kid just flies around the rink, and then you get him in a game, and you're like, oh, what the fuck? Where's this kid from tryouts?
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
it's
anyway.
tough.
And
It's
he
real tough.
and Maurice McClellan, they probably see it and they're like, you ain't winning with this guy.
No, no, you're definitely not. You're
So
definitely
I'm
not.
out of here.
Yeah, I'm out. Sheldon Keith. Speaking of someone where you couldn't win with and players couldn't win with,
I can't believe how fast. Like,
quickly he took over in there. It seemed like he wanted a break and like he needed a break.
is
And
he the right guy? And
so
I
obviously, yeah.
mean,
So Sheldon Keith, 4-year deal with the New Jersey Devils. Yeah, is he the right guy? Like, obviously, 5 years with the Leafs, 6 years with the Leafs. One playoff win over 6 years with them.
he
Always made
must be
the
a hell
playoffs.
of a fucking salesman.
I was gonna say, and I'm surprised that Dubas is leaving that man on the shelf and not trying to figure out getting him in the organization there, but in Pittsburgh to get back with him. But a very talented roster in New Jersey. They just got to find a goaltender right now. Obviously, Jake Allen came over from Montreal at the deadline and did
Right.
play pretty good, but I think most people think Jake Allen's more of controversial backup, a great backup, maybe not the first guy. And they've always been in on Markstrom here, so we'll see what happens, how that goes if they try to recircle the wagon and try to get him back. But Sheldon Keith, New Jersey, where are you at, Vandy, on that one?
I mean, to me, it seems like a quick decision with the names that are out there.
There's tons, right? So,
But with that being said, Keefe dealt with a lot of egos in Toronto.
tons
So,
of egos, right?
hey,
Tons
so
of
he
egos. Like there was quite a
and the
few.
media. So the media, he knows how to deal with that. New Jersey obviously isn't going to have
That
the
Toronto
media
had.
that the Leafs have, but maybe the egos, maybe there is something that who's the Jersey GM?
That's Tom Fitzgerald, Fitzy.
Maybe he
So,
sees
yeah.
something in the dressing room. Maybe he that where Keefe, because let's face it, what Keefe did with the guys, and not and by egos, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm just talking like you've got that much talent, and Toronto, like it or not, people, Toronto's got that talent, and to keep their heads in check and to get them to play as a team is harder than most people think.
Yeah.
So maybe they're realizing that in New Jersey with the skill they got,
Now they
and
progressed every year in Toronto. Like they finished 115 points a couple years ago, and every year it's kind of gone down. But I do think, and I do agree with the narrative and some of what people said. Like I do think Sheldon Keefe did an amazing job for what he had. He had he dressed 12 different defensemen in Toronto. He had 4 different goaltenders, and he had a circus of injuries up front throughout the year. And he still somewhat obvious. Yeah, I know he didn't get past the first round, but
right.
we're 1 goal away from advancing to the second round under
But
a,
look at we're
a
two goals
roster you know
away
it's
in
not going to win.
Edmonton.
Yes,
We're
yeah,
2 goals away in Edmonton from going, fuck, we haven't made it past the second round.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Correct.
That's how hard it is to win in this league.
It is super hard. It's unbelievably hard. And look, that like we'll get to it. There's some great storylines, and I listened to Jim Neal today and Pete DeBoer today in their press conference leading into the big game. But we'll get into that in a second. But yeah, it is very interesting to see how all that's going to work out in New Jersey and
But
how the
keep going back to keep in Jersey, like it. Yeah,
yeah,
go
yeah.
ahead.
So obviously, the worst kept secret. The news broke Friday. The insiders all had it, and the Leafs just said, "All right, you guys have it. We're just going to put a press up, but we're going to do an interview, the press conference on Tuesday." And that's Craig Berube, Stanley Cup winner, coming over and being the head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs and having a history with Brendan Shanahan in a fight. So I thought that was pretty cool to kind of see how those guys interacted in that press conference when Mark Masters asked Brendan Shanahan about you guys fought before, but they're probably the right coach. And to kind of go back to a couple podcasts ago, and Elliot,
Is it though, Bosco?
the right coach.
Yeah. Is it
Well,
like,
you know what?
or is it a name that
He gets a
is the most
4 year deal too.
popular out there?
He gets a 4 year deal too. I think Toronto was definitely waiting to see what was going to happen with Rod Brendamore, and they were definitely waiting to see if anything was going to happen with John Cooper. Now, John Cooper has 1 year left on his deal. It sounds like he's going to get
He ain't going anywhere.
yeah, he sounds like he's going to get extended in
I
Tampa.
was shocked that Brendan Moore got
And
signed.
Brendan Moore at 54 gets a 5 year deal, and all his assistant coaches get a 5 year deal. So a lot of happening in the coaching circuit there, but yeah, I guess at the end of the day, it's the sexy name because it's a person that's won a Stanley Cup before. And to kind of go back when we talked about the investigation and that, Elliot was a little upset today because on his podcast because he didn't really word it right. The Toronto Maple Leafs reached out to NHLPA just to see if there was any player complaints from St. Louis over to the NHLPA, and obviously the way Elliot worded it and probably the way we worded it in our podcast weren't the right ways, but there was nothing there. They did their due diligence, but there was no complaints made about Berube because Berube said he's very honest. You know where you stand with him, but he doesn't do it publicly. He does it privately. So, and we know what happened at the end of the year when he got let go. Jordan Kyrou came out and said what he said, and then even knowing that he was fired, those two still worked it out, and
Right.
made amends of all that. But obviously a hard nosed coach. He was a hard nosed player. He won a Stanley Cup. He came in through the year, and I was one of the rare coaches that came in through the year and came and played and won a Stanley Cup. So doesn't happen a lot, but they got the coach bump in 2019. They beat the Boston Bruins in Game 7 in Boston. Um, we'll see what he can do with this team. It's obviously a recipe that this is what we know what their general manager likes. We all know Brad Treliving loves, hard nosed kind of coaches and likes rough and tough hockey and all that. So we're gonna see maybe now he's got his blueprint and he's got a full year in, and now he can put his full stamp on this team. It still doesn't. He still didn't answer the questions. We're going to talk about them until they're answered. But the core five, are they coming back? Right. So we talked about the core four. At the end of the day, Morgan Riley's in that too, and
Right.
that's five players that have that take up over 50% of your salary cap. Without Morgan Riley, they take up 49 million, and Morgan Riley makes 7.5 million. So it's five players over 50 million. Can you win like that? No, you can't, because it's been shown we can't have that. But there are a lot of rumors right now of Mitch Marner going to the Nashville Predators. We saw the Predators send Ryan McDonough back to the Lightning, where they really needed him and where he really is needed.
Well,
So,
listen, did you hear his comments?
no, can you explain? Yeah.
So he's like, I just got off the phone with Stammer, and he just got off the ice with Pooch. This is like May, what are we, 22nd? So this would have been 19th, 20th.
Yeah,
And he's like, why wouldn't you want to play with those kind of people?
they're on the ice
Like
working.
those guys are on the ice together.
Yeah, getting her
Two,
going,
you
right?
know,
So
2 weeks after they just got eliminated, 3 weeks, whatever it is.
they're gearing up and ready to go for next year. And that's it. Their window's not done. As much as we all want to sit there and
Right.
say the window in Tampa Bay is over, they've got their dynasty. And I think in the salary cap era, we can talk about two Stanley Cups in either back-to-back years or two Stanley Cups over 3 years. That's the new version of a dynasty in the new era. I
Hard
would,
to argue.
yeah, very hard to argue. So you could say Chicago had the dynasty, LA had the dynasty, Tampa Bay had the dynasty, the Penguins had the dynasty. Let's see who's ready next for this dynasty. Is it, like we're going to have a new cup winner this year, obviously, because Vegas got eliminated, but we'll get into that. I know we're kind of going around.
You will.
Um, is there any more thoughts you want to talk about the coaching situation there?
No, I mean, as much as I was poking fun at the Toronto hire, I mean, you can't argue with the track record of
Yeah. And you're right.
Rube
It's
and what he's
easiest.
going to do and the structure he's going to bring into that team.
Yeah.
Not saying that Keefe didn't, but again, a different voice, a different
Yeah.
maybe approach to how the game is played. Maybe the X is put 3 feet away from where the other X is, that kind of thing. Yeah, if that makes sense to
Yeah. I
people.
would say
But
it makes sense. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, is he bringing in his own staff?
Well, Mike Van Ryan was an assistant coach with him in St. Louis when he won the cup. And Mike Van Ryan was already an assistant coach with the Leafs with Sheldon Keefe as the D coach. We did
Oh,
see
okay.
we did see Mark Savard part ways with the Calgary Flames today after 1 year. And Mark Savard was an assistant coach in St. Louis for I think 1 year or 2 years under
Interesting.
Rube. So I don't know. I haven't seen. I just knew Savard has parted ways, and there was rumors about that, but
Well,
that
you know
was
where he's
official
going.
today. So is he going with Berube in Toronto? That probably seems fitting and seems where.
As a staff, I mean, if you're a head coach, I mean, you're only as good as the people
Yeah,
that work with you.
and I'm
So,
gonna say, obviously Mark Savard was the power play coach for the Calgary Flames. Their power play was humming along pretty good towards the end of the year. I know overall it wasn't great, but at the end of the year it was lights out. Um, and there's quite a difference between Mark Savard and Guy Boucher. Let's just say that in terms of like, Guy Boucher is still a great coach
right,
and all that, but Guy
right.
Boucher actually invented the 1-3-1 in Tampa Bay. Um, so that's more of a defensive mind thing. I think
Yeah.
I
He
think
was running the 1-3-1 on a power play for fuck's sake
exactly, yeah. So
in the neutral zone.
yes, so I think there's an upgrade there for the Leafs on their power play because their power play needs help. It definitely in
Oh,
the playoffs. So
yeah, no, I think it's a good hire as much
yeah,
as everybody mocks or at least I do.
Yeah.
Mox it. It's a good hire, man.
Yeah. Okay, before we move over to the NHL stuff, we talked about it before we hit record. Paul Bissonnette, friend of the pod, has a this hashtag comes from him, but it is a theme that is being talked about on all podcasts. Hashtag Pussygate. So, Vandy, I don't know too much of this as a host. That doesn't sound good as me as a host, and but you have a
Well,
lot.
I ain't gonna call it that, but I'll
Yeah,
let Biz Nasty call it that.
yeah, that's what he's calling it. Obviously,
Um,
so
First of all, I wanted to say this at the beginning of the pod
okay,
is to every fucking scumbag and piece of shit human being, because that's what you are, that was making comments, whether it be your Facebook, on our social media, on Madison's social media, like, you're a fucking loser. And
yeah,
if I ever am out in public and I'm not with my family and I find out, like, stuff like that is fucking, I I I don't even know what to say. Like, the stuff that you fucking dicks were saying, like, grow up, man.
yeah, yeah. It's not good, not good for sure. Especially because I'm not saying I'm best friends with her, but I've spent
No,
enough time.
we brought it
We just
on
had
to kind of make light of it,
yeah,
and then you
and
get fucking retards like that. Like, it's a mother of three, you know, a wife, a girlfriend, what,
yeah, she
like,
has a
fuck
boyfriend.
off,
Yeah,
you
and
fucking
she's got a father, and
retards.
she's got
She's
a
got a
family.
mother,
Yeah,
sibling, like,
yeah,
you fucking idiots.
and I couldn't agree
Scumbags,
more.
man.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
scum.
definitely, I agree. I agree, Vandy. That is very disturbing to see in that aspect, and it's like it makes I don't know, this makes us you wonder what the world we live in ways of thinking.
Well, we all
People,
know what the world we live in.
yeah,
It's
and
They
again,
hide
you
behind their
said it.
fucking keyboard.
You just said it. You just
And
there's
you know what? All the power to her for, she's like not making fun of herself, but like being humble
yeah,
about it and taking it all in stride. And I mean, we're not here to make her, and by all means, we're just a couple four dudes on a podcast.
yeah,
We're not trying to make her popular. We're just trying to make light of it. We got
yeah,
Madison is a good looking girl in, Edmonton, and then we got a good looking girl in Dallas.
yeah.
Maybe we can make some of it, and they don't have to sit right behind the bench.
They could sit anywhere. They could sit in the press box. They could
Right,
sit
right,
in section 122. They can
right.
in row 17, seats
And
five
we
and
weren't trying
six,
to
whatever. Yeah,
exploit anything, or
yeah.
like,
Yeah,
like
and
what
we
the
have
fuck.
somewhat good feedback of that. Obviously, her family liked the interview, and I liked the other day we're at the morning skate. We're going to be at another morning skate coming up here, but her and her son Chance came to the morning skate. Ryan Rashog, Gene Principe came by, said hi.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Bob Stauffer, Cam Moon, all came by to say hi. Noel Jolson from the Canucks threw a puck over for her son. We
I
waved.
love the way he played.
Yeah, he's a good player. So,
Oh,
and signed the puck, took pictures with him. Christian Molin came out too, said hi to him. Like, great organization in the Canucks, and we'll get to that in a second. But it was just that's what hockey's about. That's what we're trying to do. Her kid got a lifetime experience that he never thought he was going to get, and he got, and he liked it. And he took off his Oilers jersey and being like, you know what, I'm not going to take a picture with two Canuck players wearing an Oilers jersey. That kid knew it. He understood the situation. So it was kind of cool,
unbelievable.
right? So like even it was funny.
Right.
Demko and Sam Lafferty were laughing at it. Like they're just like, "That's awesome, little guy." And then
Yeah.
Glenn and
Knew his role.
he did. He's very well
Good
educated,
for him.
very
A
smart
boy.
kid. So yeah, great family, great people. And then yeah, we're gonna take our Southside Athletic kids that we just opened up our camp last weekend. So we're going to invite our kids from the Southside Athletic program for the U18, U16s, and U17s. They're going to come to the morning skate of Game 3 in Edmonton, and so that'll be pretty cool. And Elliot Friedman and Bob Stoff are going to come say hi to them, so we're looking forward to that. But yeah, the game is fun. Looking forward to these opportunities we can do for these young kids and growing the game. And And then yeah, obviously I know we kind of rambled on there. Did you want to do a quick hit on what's going on in the OHL slash WHL in terms of, I guess we're
I
not.
did
I
kind
know I
of take
brought it.
that.
Yeah,
I took it sideways, didn't I?
it's all good. You wanted to bring that up at front, but we'll get a quick
No,
grip on that, and we'll do the playoff preview.
listen, this Pussygate that Biznassi's talking about, this goes beyond. It's where our world's at right now, and I think Biznasty is, or Bissonnette's realizing it, is literally the kids can't. There is no more chirping.
Mhm.
There is, and if there is, and a kid doesn't like what he's being called, he can go. I can sit here and threaten you, Bosco, and go, I'm gonna rip your cage off and bust your nostrils into four. And I won't get anything. But if you fire back at me and call me a pussy, um,
The,
call
bitch or
me
whatever kind of thing. Yeah,
anything,
yeah,
and the ref or a player hears that and goes to the ref, they can now call you for something.
yeah. You're
And
getting
that's something as a
5 to 7
coach of
game
U18.
suspension, right? So
As a coach of a U18, they call it discriminatory.
yeah,
I think I'm saying it right. I hope I am.
yeah.
But anyway, discrimination, whatever it is. And meanwhile, but if it go like it's fucked because kids nowadays, I happen to have I probably in Jace's team, I think we had 8 to 9 minorities on our team,
Yeah.
and it wasn't until like the probably the end of the season when players are coming to me and they're going, because it's such a delicate conversation where kids are coming to me and they're like, well, that kid, he called me that the other. You have to fucking tell me that. So I walk into the room and I'm mad,
Yeah.
and I walk into the room and I'm like, listen, if it fucking happens, you have to tell me so I can let the ref know.
Yeah.
Because the
You gotta
ref needs
report
to
it.
understand. Because meanwhile, the kid got called that and he loses his mind and goes after the kid and tries to hurt him or elbow him. Rightfully so, I would too. I would tell the kid if he told me at the moment, I'd say go out and make it happen. But now I'm in the dressing room and they tell me that, and I'm like, this has been happening all year. I'm like, oh my god,
What's going?
you fucking guys, kids, you got to tell me.
Yeah.
That way I could talk to the ref and tell them, look, this is what's happening. And if I, and as a coach, as a head coach, your number one thing is obviously protect the kids, but you should know the feeling of a ref. And if the ref isn't listening to you or anything like that, then okay, let's make the game ugly and blah 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 blah. But I know words to violence doesn't make anything, but yes, it does. Intimidation, it's part of hockey. I know I'm going on a tangent right now, but I walked into the room and I lost my mind. I said, if you fucking kids hear any of that shit, you have to tell me. If that shit's happening, you need to tell me.
Immediately, so you can
I
act.
will I will have your back the whole way. And it'll unfortunately it'll help your cause if you get suspended for doing something stupid. But um it's yeah, it's I mean it's bad. It to me it's worse the chirping now because of these discriminatory rules and like anything is pussy, dick, cock, all that stuff. It's
Yeah.
all look, if it's a racial slur, gay slur, any
Derogatory in any
kind of
which
slur
way.
like that, then okay, they should be. But there's
Done.
chirping
Kicked out of the league. Yeah. Yeah.
all over hockey,
Yeah.
and the minute it crosses that line into racial or like gender, all that other sexuality, this that the other thing. But if you're calling a kid a pussy, I mean, fuck, man, like it's wrong. But if it's racial and any of that, fuck no, no business in that. But if a kid's threatening to hurt another player, or I say kids because they are essentially.
Yeah.
But if he's threatening, and like think about it, if a kid's threatening to hurt me, then I'm going to fire back with a comment,
Yeah.
and I'm going to fire back with to try to intimidate. You're not going to do anything. You're a pussy,
Yeah. You're
and see if
definitely.
he actually does it.
Yep.
So what we're talking about is in the OHL, there was a player, Landon Sim, who another player on the team he was playing or against found out he had shoulders and he was getting uh, shoulder shut up, whatever it is, freezing, any of that shit. And he walked over and said, I'm gonna blow your shoulder up, I'm gonna injure you, this, that, the other thing. And all this Landon Sim kid did was fire back with, well, you're a pussy and
Yeah.
you won't do anything, which is fine.
Just to comment back. Yeah.
And it's out of context what I'm talking about. And yet the ref didn't even hear it. Another player on the guy threatening to injure the kid team heard it, went to his coach, referee, whatever it was, and said this is what he said, and he got 5 games
Landon Sim got
suspension.
suspended. Yeah.
Right, for
Yeah.
saying pussy. Yet it I'm telling you, in hockey now, it's worse than I've ever seen it. And I've been coaching for 25, whatever, 20 years.
Yeah.
The racial slurs, all that other stuff will always be there. The racial slurs is worse than I've ever heard it. And I coach in a community where we have a diverse, we're a multicultural community. I've got, a lot of Punjabi, I've got Sikh families, it's, it's,
It's well
and it's
diverse.
worse than I've ever,
Seen in the
I
hate.
can't imagine what these kids go through.
Yeah. And it is mental health what bothers them too, right? Going back home and dealing with it. And
Well, and then you wonder why some of these kids act out on the ice,
yeah.
why they
At
lose their
school,
mind. And I'm like, I couldn't,
it's tough to
it's
deal with
hard
them.
for me
Yeah.
to,
So yeah,
anyway.
very well said by you. And we'll it's changing at times, and we got to change with these times. And for the game, and the game is moving in so many different directions, and it's following the direction that we got to move the game into. So yeah. Um, Great words by you there, Vandy. We'll see how this situation plays out, and how more education, better, all this stuff will work out. But there's definitely steps in place right now, and there probably will be more down the road. But let's move over to kind of the heavy stuff here with and that was heavy too. Not saying it wasn't, but the Stanley Cup playoffs, really interesting times right now. You got four amazing teams that have every right to be Stanley Cup champions, but we all know there's only one Stanley Cup handed out, as Brian Burke liked to remind. I only remember seeing one Stanley Cup handed out. Just because you want to trade at the trade deadline or whatever doesn't mean you got the Stanley Cup when you don't win it. But one game has already happened tonight. That was the Eastern Conference Final. That's Florida and the New York Rangers, and the Florida Panthers coming out with the win, looking really good in that game. Um, let's go there first. This is probably going to be a long series, but the Rangers kind of need to get going here too, and they're going to need to get some goals. But um, Florida was at the Cup final last year. They learned some lessons along the way, and it definitely looks like they're on the path to getting back there again. But your thoughts on the Panthers, and what you see from this organization, this coaching staff, the players, how well they are, and the Rangers too. But give the Panthers credit getting that first important game one win.
Are there not eerily similar um, comparisons between Tampa Bay and Florida?
It's there, right?
Like, they're Florida's, Tampa Bay making it, maybe losing first round to Columbus, getting swept, and then all of a sudden going on a run. Um, Florida, every time I watch this team, they're built just like, what do you want to do? You want to go 6-0? You
Yeah.
want to go 7-6? You want to go 1-0 into the last 2 minutes and we force you to pull your goalie and we pot two empty netters. That kind of game. Like Florida's. Everybody's talking about Dallas, and we'll get to them, but Florida. I mean, you look. They've got Kachuk as a stammer. Um, you can run all the Ekblad, Hedman, you know, Bobrovsky's playing out of his mind at 35 years old. There's so many comparisons. Rangers, I mean, the series is going to go 7.
Yeah.
Rangers are no slouch, but I mean, I watch this Florida team and I'm like, God, how that, how are you going to beat this team? They could beat you so many ways,
And how
and
are
they
you gonna?
just come at you in waves.
Yeah, they're just deep, and they got so many good players that aren't even playing
Right,
that are like top 9 forwards in any other
right,
organization. It's crazy. Like it's or top 4 defensemen. Like
right.
it's stacked and stacked could be, right? So and then you got 2 good goaltenders. Like the numbers, um, that Anthony Stolarz, who's the backup for the Florida Panthers, has posted all year are starting net minding numbers, and he's their backup. That's and they haven't even used them obviously because they don't need to because Bobrovsky's playing so well too. But it's just well coached, well managed. The players are buying in. Barkov is on pace right now to probably be the Conn Smythe favorite if they get to the next round. But we're only, they're
Is
set.
this a true?
The true,
Last year they made it to the final, but is this
and they got hurt.
playoffs
They got
a
hurt.
true coming out
Yeah.
for Barkov?
I would say so. Like we always had this, like, you know, not really respected, not known, but just won the Selkie. Um, but we always just say he's one of the great two-way players. More or less, we always went to his defensive side of the game. Now we're seeing his offensive side of the game being a little bit more shadowed, and at the end of the day, I get it. Barkov is never going to win you a Hart Trophy in the regular season because there's so many other, and it's no slouch to him, but there are a lot of other great players are going to have it. But to get his name to what you just said, maybe more on the map, it's going to be a Conn Smythe, and then maybe down the road he wins an MVP during the regular season. Um, but he's definitely on pace to to win the Conn Smythe if they get there. Obviously, it's only one game. We're not, there's
Correct.
are going to have a response back.
I mean, look, the Rangers are
Teams
no.
have been off, right? So,
Yeah, the
um,
Rangers came out. To me, anytime you're playing first game at home and you're kind of Madison Square Garden, and they've talked about it, the building and live. Even though you know some of those players have they been there before? Conference final.
on the Rangers, they've been to the conference final. They've had some runs in the past.
But anyway, it's you're at home. The juice is flowing. Tonight is a game they'll wash out. If they lose game 2, then okay, we're probably talking like Florida could win this in 6, 5 or 6. But it's, I mean, we're in the third round.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's not going to be easy. Florida's a
No,
good
I'd be
team.
surprised if there's
Rangers
any.
got a good team.
Yeah,
Rangers,
they'll have a response. Peter Laviolette
100% they
will
will.
have those guys ready for a response. It was a 3-0 win. It was a shutout, but they'll have a response. They will. Their power play's got to be better, but
And it takes one hit.
yeah, one play, and they got
They
difference
have that
makers
X factor of Jacob Truba.
yeah, where he can change. He did. We saw it. Like the Penguins were up 3-1 against the Rangers a couple games
Rafi
back.
Torres,
Yeah, and that hit.
2006, right?
Yeah, a big hit makes a big change. I go back to the Flyers Boston series where Boston was up 3-0 in the series, and Mike Richards knocked out David Krejci out of the series. And what
Right,
happened? The Flyers went on to win 4 straight and come back
right.
from a 3-0 deficit.
I do question if the Rangers have that that type of player other than Truba. I question. You look at Florida's got that Crom or Omber, whatever the fuck it, number 94.
Matthew
They've
Kachuk.
got, you know, at what point do you maybe see Rampy come in?
Yeah,
I don't know, and it's so easy for us to sit here and go, well, yeah, if Cheeto is healthy, I'm putting Cheeto in.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. Why don't you maybe throw Rempe in there? And I know, like, I don't know.
Filipino hadn't played in a while. He had 6 months off. He's played a
Right. And you're
playoffs,
throwing
right?
him right into the first game of the fucking.
Yeah. So he had a couple games, if not one game in round two, but still a pretty good team there. But they I think they'll have a response.
Oh, yeah, 100% they
I
will.
I have to go with my first start of this playoff started prediction. I had the Rangers winning the Stanley Cup against the Edmonton Oilers. So I do think I would say before even this game, I still got to stay true to what I said. I think the Rangers win this in seven. It's going to be a tight series. I could be completely wrong because we always have been, but at the end of the day,
What the fuck do we know?
yeah, exactly. We're just a couple
Nobody knows anything when
There's
it
a
comes
couple
to
months.
predicting.
They don't.
This
There's
is
a
what
lot.
I know.
Yeah, they got. It's just predictions at the end of the day. I should do more of the.
Florida
I should.
6.
Yeah, Florida.
Florida's going to win in 6.
Yeah. All right. So Bob McKenzie never gives out predictions because he says they're pointless. So maybe we'll get.
They are pointless.
so, um, so we should maybe take some advice from the Bob father and friend of the pod in that. But let's move over to what we'll know a lot of and see a lot of and cover a lot of because we are out west and we are in Edmonton. But the Dallas Stars versus the Edmonton Oilers, just pretty crazy. Why Johnston? They got him. They moved in the draft to get him, so they moved their pick to move down in the draft to get him. And the other pick that they recuperated in that draft, they used to get Logan Stankoven too. So they got Wyatt Johnson and Logan Stankoven in the draft.
Weren't we talking about him?
We were the
General
other,
World Junior.
yeah, we were, but I did. It was pretty crazy. Like Jim Neal went into depth about that and talked about his scouting staff and why Johnson only played 7 games that year. It was a huge flyer, but the scouting staff in Dallas was very bullish on him, and obviously it's panned out and just pretty smart to know move down the draft. You still get the player you wanted, and then you were able to recuperate another player that's probably going to have a long career there too. It's still early for Stankoven, but early indications look like Stankoven's going to be a player. And the Dallas Stars, I know the biggest thing in this series will be power play, but the Dallas Stars don't take any penalties. They're the least penalized team in the regular season, and they've been the least penalized team in the playoffs too. So, like Pete DeBoer said, we don't take penalties. We did play a potent power play in Vegas and in Colorado, but Nathan McKinnon was held to 1 assist in the 4 wins Dallas had against the Colorado Avalanche. So I think that's going to be a recipe to success in 3 games this year. Draisaitl, McDavid, and Hyman had no goals against the Dallas Stars. So that'll probably change in a longer series. I would assume that this will be a longer series. We know Pete DeBoer is 8-0 in Game 7. So if this goes to Game 7, their history shows that he'll probably win that. But the biggest story in this, I think, will be goaltending for the Oilers. The Oilers are good up front. They're good on the back end. I know Darnell Nurse got exposed in the Canucks series. The Canucks scored 21 goals. Darnell Nurse was on for 14 out of the 21. That can't happen in this series. So that's going to be a tough one. He was a -9, but their power play is number 1. Their penalty kills number 1 in terms of the Oilers. A lot of great storylines here. Rupe Hintz is day-to-day. Yanni Hakapov has not skated. It looks like Alexander Petrovich, friend of the pod, he got in the elimination game. It looks like he's going to get in tomorrow night from all indications. So it's obviously a cheering for a good story there. Good Edmonton boy, MLAC alumni. Hadn't played a game in 5 years in the National Hockey League, Vandy, until he played a game in Boston this year and then played 1 playoff game. Kind of saying something about going with that in terms of Pete DeBoer and that coaching staff believing in him and playing 16 minutes in an elimination game against a team that just won a cup 2 years ago. But I know I rambled on here. There's a lot to go there. There's a lot of storylines to this. Jason Chimera, former Oiler, friend of the pod, Vernon Fiddler, former Dallas Star, friend of the pod, Gerbler Brulé, friend of the pod too, former Oiler. So a lot of guys that are part of our podcast have been on both teams here, but your storyline, keys to winning for the Oilers. That's obviously a focal point. we're all cheering for Connor McDavid's legacy here at the end of the day. I took heat on Facebook. I'll just quickly say going back to you. I openly came out on Facebook saying I'm a Leaf fan. I don't want this. I don't like it. I got lambasted. I think I had one person standing up for me, my buddy Wayne standing up for me, but my family, my mom, everyone was not happy with my comments. Um, but hey, as a Leaf fan, I think it would be the other shoe if the other foot, if the Leafs were in the conference final out east. I think maybe Oilers fans might be saying the same thing. I get it.
Well,
23
I don't
Canadian.
disagree with your comments. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
you're not wrong.
Yeah. But go ahead,
But
sirs. I
at the end
rattled
of the
on any
day,
longer. Yeah.
we're in the third round.
Yes.
Second time, 3 years, whatever. We're in the third round, and we talked about it earlier about how hard it is to win at this time of the year. And the Oilers faced a Vancouver team that I think shocked a lot of media, a lot of fans on how good they really were and how much adversity they went through, not only through the playoffs but through the season, this, that, the other thing. But I think at the end of the day, adversity does eventually take a toll on your team, and I think it did. And I think Brock Besser, not playing or unfortunately having
Blood clot
the
issue, right?
yeah, injuries that he had, unfortunately, I think that took a toll where it just where you emotionally it just fucks with you to a point.
Mm-hmm.
Oilers win, we're on to game three. If you would have told me a week ago Oilers are playing Dallas, who are you picking? I would have picked Dallas in five. But I've been coaching, and again, this is probably the second time I've said this in the podcast, for 20 plus years. And I witnessed something this weekend at a U13 lacrosse. And be it what you will, take it with a grain of salt, whatever you want. All the cliches in the world, but my son's U13 lacrosse team beat a team that out of a best of seven, maybe they win 3 games, but maybe they win 4.
Mm-hmm.
But they ended up they played this team in this tournament, and they were bigger, they were faster, maybe not faster, but they were bigger, way more physical. And these kids, and the backstory, so my son's team has 11 kids on their team that have never played lacrosse before. And they have, I think, if I'm not mistaken, they've got 6 or 7, maybe 8 out of the 18 kids. Maybe it might even be more. I don't know. I could be wrong. That are first years. So they're 2013. So they'll be like 11 years old. Anyway, physically, they're smaller than this team. And they were getting the first part of the game kind of getting run over, and it was getting a little heated. They had a couple of kids in their team that just run, and they were hitting kids, and physically, anyway, they ended up winning the game. A couple of kids, got a little bigger. You know what I'm talking about. They got a little bigger after that game because they finished checks. And if you've never seen a U13 or U15 or U17 lacrosse game, or U11 lacrosse game, you'll know what I'm talking about, or you won't know what I'm talking about. But anyway, they ended up winning this game, and these kids were above the moon. Now, going back to what I was saying before, a week ago, if had you told me the Oilers, I would have said Dallas in 5. The Oilers do have a fighting chance.
Okay.
But they need players to step up. They need,
Ryan McLeod step up, right?
Darnell Nurse. They need McLeod. They need
You're gonna
all
need Corey.
hands
I
on
think
deck.
you're gonna need Corey Perry in this series. You're probably gonna need
100% you're gonna need him.
probably
He's
gonna
gonna
need
need
Adam
to
Henrique
shit.
with the series. Yep.
He's gonna need to disturb shit. He's gonna need to get under Jamie Benn.
Yep.
Wyatt Johnson. Why not put him out? Wyatt Johnson, yeah, he flies around, but why not put him out
Yeah.
and spud him? Like, You're gonna need that fuck you attitude. And that so go back to what I was saying, my son's team this weekend is they had that fuck you attitude. Like, you're coming at us? All right, we're going at you.
Yeah, let's go.
And
Let's
one
see
of the
what you're made
smallest
of.
kids on the team ran over their biggest kid, and that changed the whole perception of the game. And like
All it
that's
takes,
the
right?
kind of fucking attitude you need. Like, fuck you.
Yeah.
You're gonna go after McDavid? All right, we're gonna go after Wyatt.
Mhm.
Wyatt's what, $110?
Yeah, he's about there. Yeah. Let's go after you. Let's see what you're made of, right?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
Darnell, this is where we need you.
so is
Desharnais,
they need saves from Skinner. Do you think the
100%.
recipe to success, the way they won Game 6, the way they won Game 7, the Canucks only had 32 shots in those combined games. The Canucks only led for 32 seconds since Game 4. Um,
Right.
they clamped down like we've never seen this organization clamp down. And I get it. Like I was kind of teasing it at the top, at the start of the pod in terms of like, this Dallas core has gone to a cup final. Yes, it was in the bubble. Tampa Bay won. There's no fans, but they gone. And then they had the disappointing part where the Calgary Flames beat them in the first round a couple years ago. And then they were in the conference final last year and Vegas beat them. And they lost to learn how to win. Edmonton has lost and learned how to win. So something has to give on both these teams. In terms, I picked Dallas in 7. I know a lot of people were going to be surprised if this series does go 7 on more of the Oilers side, but you still got to give respect to the Oilers. Their PK isn't getting talked about enough. Um, and you have the first power play unit, and you got the first, and Pete DeBoer said it. He's like, it's the only power play in the National Hockey. He said in his press conference today, the only power play in the National Hockey League where they don't have a second unit. There's no such thing as a second unit in Edmonton. It's 5 players. They play the full 2 minutes regardless. Obviously, if they score early, they're not playing 2 minutes, but they will stay out there the full 2 minutes, and then they'll have another 30 seconds where they stay out there because they still have offensive zone time. They're not just going to come off when there's 2 minutes up. Once the puck clears, they're out. But he's like, we expected these other 2 power plays in the teams we played, but this is a different beast. This is a different animal. So if they continue to take less penalties, it's going to be less of a factor, but
Right.
still can do some damage. And he showed the respect to that too. And that there was Derek Van Diest who asked the question in a press conference. And Derek works for the NHL.com out of Edmonton, and he's covering the series for the NHL.com. He asked Pete DeBoer the question. So it was interesting how we kind of broke it down. I think Pete DeBoer is a hell of a coach. He's won at a lot of levels. He's gone to the Stanley Cup Final 7 times. I know he hasn't won the cup, but they got some players. Ottinger did leave practice early today. He was sick, but all indications so he's gonna start tonight because this episode will come out on the day of the game. But great storylines. I know Dallas beat the crap out of them the last time they're in Dallas, but it's the playoffs. There's a new animal. These teams are motivated. These are great coaches. These are great players. They're all professional at the end of the day. I'm going to switch gears in terms of you broke it down good there. You broke it down good here. One of the big things I'm hearing a lot lately over this time, Cup or Bust comment keeps coming back up, Vandy. What does Cup or Bust mean to you? I know we talked about it last podcast, but I didn't hear what Brian Hayes said. I'd seen Brian Hayes as a host of Overdrive. SportsCenter's on in front of me, but obviously I have it on mute. But the caption was, "I'm rooting for Connor McDavid's legacy right now because he needs a Stanley Cup." He showed all the individual awards, but there's no Stanley Cup there. Um, is it a failed season if they don't beat the Dallas Stars?
No.
No. Okay.
No. No.
Can you explain why
You
that?
made it to the conference round,
Okay.
to the conference finals.
Okay.
You made it to the conference finals.
So my rebuttal.
Like, you're in the semifinals
Yeah.
of essentially what is it, a 32
32
team tournament,
team, 32 team.
32 team
Only
tournament.
16 teams can make it, and there won't be any more. Gary Bettman's not doing
Yeah, but only 4 make it to the conference.
Yeah.
And they've made it 2 out of 3 years.
They
So
got swept the
they're
last time.
learning. And listen, you just said it. Dallas made the Stanley Cup final, right?
Yeah, they did a couple years ago, right?
So I mean, and they've got a majority of their core. You have
Majority
to
of those.
learn to lose before you learn to win.
Okay.
And the Oilers are learning all these lessons. And look at how much turnover we've had. maybe not a lot, but I'm thinking forward, Frank. We've got Desharnais is entering, uncharted territory. Who
Second
knows? Maybe he
second full
steps up.
season, right?
And you look at we are we going to do this with Connor and Leon? No. If we're relying on 29 and 97, then it's a 4-game sweep.
Okay, so
We need these. Go ahead.
yeah, I get that. I agree. Like, hey, Evan Bouchard played lights out, like 20 points in the first two rounds, set an NHL record. A lot can be made of his defensive woes, but offensively, he's great. He's gifted. He was out in the last minute of a 1-goal game in Vancouver. He normally doesn't get that opportunity. He earned that opportunity. He got that opportunity. He flourished in that opportunity. Vancouver did not tie that game. Um, Bob will probably say on Sunday, but he said it to me the other day. Like there's 9 more minutes left in that period. It's a different story. We're having a different conversation today.
Oh,
Vancouver was coming
yeah,
on, right? But they did.
100%.
But the timeout by Knobloch was smart because the Canucks never got another shot after that timeout. There was 4 minutes left. They never got another shot. I
Yeah,
agree.
but to me, any coach would have
Down.
called that timeout.
They would have for sure. The right
That's
coach.
why I don't understand everybody
Well,
stroking him
I don't
off,
know if the
but
right coach
like
would
every
do it.
coach would have called that timeout.
Sheldon Keefe didn't do it though, right? So he
Oh,
didn't do it when he was with Toronto during that Montreal series. There was no timeout made there. Anyway, that's a different story. That was years ago. Um, but you're right. The right
don't live in the
opportunity,
past, Bosco.
yeah, you don't live in the future, right? So cherish the memories and move in the future. So, but anyways, we'll see. It's interesting. The only thing is, man, we've seen it in Toronto. You can't win when you pay all these guys this crazy amount of money. Dreisaitl's up for a contract extension this July 1st. Bouchard and McDavid are up for contract extensions next year at July 1st.
So
Like
So I
the
ask you,
window is a
why,
2 year window.
what's the narrative behind up or bust?
I didn't say it. You didn't say it. The captain of the Edmonton Oilers said it at the start of the year. It's cup or bust. It came out of Connor McDavid's mouth. He said it's cup or bust. And no one's been able to explain to me yet what bust means. Not one person. And hey, we're going to get into that conversation on Sunday because Jimmy Ward and Phil Stockley from the Cheap Seats podcast are going to join us with Bob Stauffer. They got it's going to be a collab. We're doing a collab pod with another podcast. So Bob's already agreed to it. It's good to go. Maybe we'll see if Vernon Fiddler can jump in from the top rope on the episode. He's
Well, you got to get Chimmer too,
got to get Chimmer. I don't know if Chimmer
or
will go on.
get Gill,
We'll
get
see. But
Brew,
get Brew, yeah.
get Brule.
I should get Brule. Bob likes Brule too. So maybe we'll get an NHL player's perspective.
Okay, anyway,
But anyways, it will be a good pod. I'm looking
I
for
don't have an answer to that. I don't know what cup or
what
bust
copper bus. I
means.
don't know. Like I just want to know what it means. Like, and I
Well,
get
it's a motivational tactic to
it
me
is, but maybe we're not.
from Connor. If it's coming from
We don't
Connor,
need to have that
it's like,
conversation right now because they're still playing. But they got swept. They have to win this series, don't they? Like they got swept the last time they're here. I can't see them getting swept
no.
this time.
I think if it's competitive, and there are guys on this roster that weren't on this roster 2 years ago that belong here, and they're learning how to play at this level at this time of year, and they're learning something, i.e. Dallas 2 or 3 years ago, then yeah, then I don't think it is a cup or bust. I think it's a cup or um growth.
You know what I'd love, man? I'm all about storylines, and I'm just seeing this now because like SportsCenter just shared a clip that happened not this year but last year, and it just brought back this memory because I'm cheering for the Petro story, all that too. But there's a story to be told on the other end of the Edmonton Oilers, and my people might not understand it, and I'm going to explain this right now. The demise of Jack Campbell came to the hands of the Dallas Stars. There was an afternoon game in Edmonton 2 years ago. It was Jack Campbell's first year with the Oilers, and the Dallas Stars lit him up. Like there was that shot of Jamie Benn had a hat trick, and Jack Campbell took the puck, went through his glove and into the net. Like it literally, there was that clip of Jack Campbell on his knees
Yeah.
looking at his glove like this. Like, how did that go in? And that was the demise
Right.
of Jack Campbell. If Skinner falters at any point, I know they've gone to Pickard, and I know this is out on a limb, and I'm going to bring this up on Sunday because we'll see where the story is on Sunday night with Bob Stauffer, because they already have 2 games played in this series in Dallas. But also, Jamie Benn pushed around Zach Hyman too in that game too. He had the hat trick. I mean, they just showed the clip on SportsCenter. Like, if anyone's watching SportsCenter tonight,
Yeah.
they'll know which clip
Yeah.
I'm
We
talking
all
about.
remember that.
Could Jack Campbell get in and save this season for the Edmonton Oilers if they have defensive goaltending problems? Like, that's would be a good story. I'm just saying, like, we all know Jack Campbell's this great guy. Mike Fuda,
Unbelievable.
friend of the pod, on last year.
Right.
Fuda's been on with us 17 times, but one of the
Right.
17 interviews, he goes, I just remember Jack Campbell being at every single player's wedding. Like, he's just that much a loved guy that
Oh, he's a
one
good
summer
dude.
he was at like 17 weddings with his girlfriend. Now he's getting married this summer. Jack Campbell is, but yeah, I don't know. I just seen that. I'm just like, it just clued in. There's a petrol story on the other side. Last NHL game was in Edmonton. He played for the Oilers in 2019, grinded out the minors for the last 5 years.
Right.
Edmonton kid, we'll see. I don't know. Like, it looks like he's gonna play.
MLAC kid.
He's an MLAC kid. We'll see where it happens there. But the Oilers got their own story there, because I really think the demise of Jack Campbell came in the hands of that game in Edmonton. It was an afternoon game. I remember that game vividly. So I don't know. Like, maybe I'm out to lunch. Will McNeil, other friends
No,
of the pod, post it in the comments on YouTube. Tell me what you guys think. Like, am I crazy to think this? Like, I don't know, Vanny. What am I? Am I crazy?
No,
Is it something like, I know it's like we don't
no. I
even
mean,
want,
we were
like, you
calling.
have
I
$15
called for
million in
Campbell.
you have $15 million invested in Campbell still. Like, he's got 3 more years at $5 million left. Like, is it a foregone conclusion you're buying him out? Like, he's a part of the Black Aces. He's there. He's traveling with the team. Like, you would think at some
I
point,
don't.
like, he's a cap casualty of why he wasn't on the roster later in the year. Like, there was no
Right.
vision of him playing in the minors the rest of the year after they sent him down.
He's our Mark Stone.
He is.
Um, how
Like, how
I
great would
mean,
that be? Him like,
it would be an unbelievable story.
he would
But
be
with that
hurtful
being
for
said,
Skinner
how do
because
you Picker didn't help Campbell's
I guess the
cause
only
by
way it
coming
is
in?
is the only way it is if this is a big if Skinner gets lit up in game 1 and they're like, hey, we can't go back to him, and then you put Pickard in game 2 and your hands are really tied as a coaching staff, do you have no choice to go to Campbell for game 3? Like,
I
I
don't know.
we're
I
ruining a
coach.
lot of foreshadowing here, but I'm going to bring it up
I
to
mean,
Bob on Sunday. I'm going to see where the series is at. Even if it's 2-0 Edmonton, I'm still going to
well,
bring it
I'm
up.
going to tell you what Bob's going to say, and
What is Bob going to say, Andy? Because you
well,
know Bob very well.
I coached Southside Athletic Club for 11 years,
Yeah.
and those kids are
Resilient.
resilient kids. And I'm going to tell you the same thing
Bob
for the
is.
next 5 6 years as my kid goes through MLAC. Probably they're resilient kids. They're Stuart Skinner will not falter,
In this series, Kate.
not
You think
at
these 2 wins
all.
have really done a good job of his confidence?
hundred
They have
percent.
to, right?
He's back. Goalies like Stuart Skinner want to be number one, and to have a kid like I call him kid, Kelvin Pickard, step in and do what he did. Those two have a working relationship. It's probably it ain't possible. It ain't impossible. Sorry, to think that Campbell can come in and maybe take over Pickard's job without even playing a game in a long time in front of people. But I don't know, man. I think it's Skinner's net. If Skinner is truly your number one, I think you gotta give him the net. Is Pickard or Campbell gonna get it? Probably not.
Yeah.
I can't see Edmonton the way they buckled down and we saw it throughout the year, even where Edmonton, where the Oilers, even when um, Knobloch first took over, where they really clamped down on the D zone coverage, whether it be shifting, you know, personnel or whatever, or just flat out positioning,
Yeah.
and getting down to the X's and O's. No, I don't think I don't see Skinner losing the net
Okay.
at all in this series.
So he's your guy, ride or die. So
Well, yeah,
yeah. Okay.
I think he has to be, because moving forward, he's going to be number one. The winner loses series. You hope it's a competitive series. If the Oilers go out in four, then okay, we got fucking problems.
Yeah.
But if you know, 7 game, I no, Skinner ain't losing the net.
Okay. We will watch the games and see where it goes. I guess at the end of the day, that's all we can really do as fans, as media people, as podcasters. All that all we can do is sit, watch, and then evaluate after games are done. So another thing Shaddy wants us to do is live podcast live on YouTube after games that are done. So I don't know if we can do that. We've never done it before, but that's Shaddy's a big fan of ours. So um,
I could. No, I can't do it tomorrow. I can do it.
yeah, maybe we do it Saturday night. We'll see.
Why doesn't Shaddy come on?
Shaddy won't.
No.
Shaddy's not. He's such a great guy, but he doesn't feel comfortable probably doing that. But you'll
Oh,
meet
okay.
him one day. So I know you said
All right.
you're hanging on by the skin of your teeth there, but
Well, it
you got
is
good flow,
like
my friend. You're not a
fuck it.
Jason Strudwick just yet, right? So Noodles likes to say you're not a carrot. There's not a whatever it is carrot
Yeah, but
top.
I want it. I just want to shave it just to
Yeah,
get rid of it. Anyway.
exactly. Anyways,
All right,
we
buddy.
went long. We're late in the night. Let's finish up on that. Let's see how these games go. We'll be back Sunday night, drop it on Monday. So we'll let a few games breathe, let some games breathe, but we'll be back with a very great podcast. Bob Stauffer, Jimmy Ward, Phil Stockley, Clay Vanderham, hopefully Rupp Tash, hopefully Brody joins in.
Jesus.
Like it'll be a
Let's
host
get
of
a full crew going.
it'll be a good one. I know it'll be an hour long, and then we'll reach out to Fiddler, Brule, Chimera. We'll reach out to some people, see if any of them want to join. I know Fiddler's coming to Edmonton to watch some games, so hopefully we can connect with him and all that. But he's a big fan of the pod for a lot of our fans. But yeah, Vandy, thank you. I love you. You're the man. Appreciate
Love
you
you too,
so
brother.
much. And let's enjoy these few games. Let's enjoy the try to get some good weather here. I know it hasn't been great. We need the moisture too.
No,
So,
we
yeah,
need the rain.
yeah. So thanks for all the men and women in the firefighting industry fighting those wildfires for all of us all over Canada, especially Alberta here. But thanks to you guys. You guys are the real heroes. As we're running out, you guys are running in. We appreciate you guys. We love you guys. Anyone in the frontline service too, police officers, nurses, all that stuff, doctors, all the best to you guys. We appreciate you guys so much. We love our fans. I love you guys. Vandy loves you guys. Just again, thank you. The road to healing for me is getting better, and I love you guys. I love the people that we have on this pod, and all the best to you guys. We'll chat very, very soon. Thank you so much.
Later.